Yeah.
Cool, anyway. Well, I've got. My way, run away from me. Don't worry about that today.
I don't know. You know what the
You'd always like that.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did.
I do
Oh no, I'm going the wrong way. Oh, I can't do these blooming photographs. I've got yeah, I've got Emmy. No, I'm going the wrong way. And I know I've got, yeah.
Is he whining? Really? Is there any particular reason? No idea. Attention. Really? Alfie, you're not going to get any more attention than this. Oh, watch him. Wait. Why so far away?
Right then.
I've done something wrong. Wow. Excellent, we've got that, thank you. Yeah. Okay. Right. What's Gary, do you want to?
Yeah, it's going to be the bride and groom, Elly's granny.
Ellie's granny.
We're going to go inside for that.
Okay, right. Leave that at the end.
Bride and groom alone.
Bride and groom, we'll do that afterwards.
Yeah, and then the other one's group shot.
Have we not got quite a few
Full wedding party.
The full wedding party. We'll need that up there to get the full wedding party. Yeah,
Elly, I'm just grinding with you. Yeah. Middle or side? Middle.
You right, Hen?
Okay, well.
Okay then.
Come on, darling.
Alright. Hold on, excuse me.
It's in the way.
They're taking a photograph of your behind it.
Well, it is much photographed, Charles.
Wait a minute, I've just got to change the lens.
From time to time, Phil.
Behind me or to the side a little bit.
He might get there one day.
Lovely.
Oh, I don't know. I've touched too many things.
You should get a few tips from this chap over here. Can you see this person?
It's new, you see, and I'd like it.
Okay. All right. 3. Oh, that was rather quick. Okay. 3, 2, 1.
Right, anyone who's got a confetti will need to come a bit closer, up to just to the edge, right to the edge, yeah? Okay, and just stand on the edge, that's it, just so you're not in the shot. Nice in the air, that's it, yeah? Right, okay. Right.
I don't want to.
You can get a new
That's all right, I'm just trying to get the door up, please. Okay, then if you walk up and then everyone kind of throws it at you really violently. Go, Excellent. Very good. It's not confetti, is it? That's feathers.
We're all pensioners, David. The world is full of pensioners. But fortunately, I've got my bus pass, so I'm okay.
Hopefully.
Got any on my arm? I'm all right.
Yeah, clean to me.
That's all right.
Right then.
Where is it?
No, it was on. In the unicorn?
Yes.
Right.
No, David. I pay you that.
Yes.
It's okay.
So my dad was told to shut up.
Well, we've had 35 years of that, so it's nothing new.
34
Well, nearly 35.
in October, 7 months away, over half a year.
Only I've added one to your insurance.
Ellie, who are you justifying this to? You're married now, you don't have to justify anything. It's all done and dusted. Alfie, sit. Sit, Alfie.
Yeah, nobody was committed to do it. Everybody's including that's right, the animals.
Yeah.
It's just the same.
Nick! Waiting for that.
Okay, are you all ready? Looking this way.
Never know now, yeah.
Yep, we got that, thank you.
I don't know. What time is it now? I don't know. What time is it now?
No, what time is it now? Take one more and then actually I'll take one without flash.
Will you please be upstanding and welcome in your bride and groom.
Ready for a split.
Oh, Mrs. Pullum. And Mrs. Pullum.
And the usher and all. Bless the family, bless the friends, bless this wedding. Amen. Amen. Second verse. Give us some bread and a wee bit of meat. Give us some pudding because I feel like my sweet. Give us some beer, give us some wine. Give us a dram if you're so inclined. It's no much to ask, Lord. Oh, but there is one thing more. Give us good friends in every chair. May the blessings you heap upon mice and on men be there for a lifetime. Amen. Amen. Last verse. Last verse. Oh, Lord, hello. It's me again. There's just one more thing before the last amen. Bless Elly and Jason as their future beckons. But if there's pudding left over, can I have some seconds? Amen, amen, amen.
Ladies and gentlemen, can you all hear me at the bottom, first of all? Right, okay. Well, that's good, because you won't be bored then. I'm going to speak to you in English, unlike Emil, who gave you the vernacular Scots. On behalf of my wife, Danuta, looking particularly beautiful and resplendent in her cobalt blue, Jason's parents, Maureen and Ron, and the happy couple Elly and Jason, let me say what a pleasure it is to welcome you all, the friends and relatives of both families, to share this very special day. Some of you have travelled considerable distances to be here, including Nottingham, London, Scotland, Cumberland, Lancashire, South Wales. But the travel prize must go to my brother Noel from Sydney, Australia. However, you're all here because you played some part in the lives of Elly and Jason over the years, not least by being here to celebrate the happy occasion today. There are a number of people who I wish could have been here, but I'm sure they're keeping an eye on proceedings from afar, and obviously put in a good word for the weather. Talking of my mum, those who knew her may remember her story about longing for a daughter, but being put off by two sons who apparently fought night and day all their lives. I can remember one or two tussles, but not every day, all day. Maybe you know, you can remember differently, I don't know.
There's a reason why I went to Australia.
Well done. Anyway, Mum always wanted a daughter, but having decided not to tempt fate and possibly have another fighter, a third fighter, she decided to leave it at 2. However, the next best option was to have a granddaughter. And despite my frequently telling her after Nick was born that I desperately wanted 2 sons, which was totally untrue, but nevertheless I pushed that at her whenever I could.
I think that was true.
Elly was the answer to her and our prayers. I knew right from the beginning that Elly would be special, and so she is. And just for those of you who don't know the antecedents, here they go. She was born on the 28th of October 1976 in Leicester Royal Infirmary. And as you might imagine, she made an immediate impact. At the time, I was on a training course to prepare me for the rigours of life as a VAT control officer.
Ooh.
A job... I can take it, I've had worse. A job the Customs Excise promised me I would never have to do. But as is the way, I had to do it. Anyway, I wasn't looking forward to doing that. So that day was doubly blessed. First, Elly arrived with as good a pair of lungs as you'd ever hit on a rugby pitch. Secondly, having been advised of her imminent arrival by the hospital, I bailed out of the training course, hightailed it across to the hospital, and was there for the happy event. Which, of course, had the added bonus of keeping away from the dreaded VAT for a further few months. Well done, Elly. Timing impeccable. Talking of dates, it was 12 years ago today that I retired. And as I spoke at my retirement party, I knew that sorry, I can't read this. I little knew that there would be another reason to remember this date in the future. But there are, of course, other momentous occasions that occurred on this date over the years. In 1279, for example, the Mongolians won a victory in the Battle of Yamen, which ended the Song dynasty in China. In 1628, the colony of Massachusetts was founded. In 1702, James II's daughter, Anne Stuart, that was Anne of the famous legs. You've all heard of Queen Anne's legs, Queen Anne legs, I'm sure. She became queen in 1702 on the 19th of March. In 1877, Australia beat England by 45 runs in the very first test match. I seem to recall we got our own back recently. And another Australian connection. In 1932, the Sydney Harbour Bridge was opened on the 19th of March. And finally, and perhaps the most important of all these miscellaneous dates, is that you'll wish to know that in the US of A, the 19th of March is National Quilting Day. However, today is far more important than any of these. Because this is the day our only daughter was married. It only seems like yesterday that I was on that training course. I blinked, and here I am, proposing the toast on her wedding day. Where have all those years gone? Such a lot has happened in the meantime. But as I look at our beautiful daughter today, perhaps we didn't do such a bad job. Now, just again a bit more history, because I'm sure you're all history buffs and want to know the facts and the details. The tradition of the father giving away his daughter belongs to the days of betrothals and arranged marriages. Daughters were the father's property, and it was the right of the father to hand over the responsibility for his daughter to the groom. This I do, Jason, with confidence. And I will simply repeat what Danuta's mum Elizabeth said to me after I'd asked for Danuta's hand. Take care of her and look after her. Like Danuta, Elly has great inner strength and resilience, and is a self-sufficient and independent spirit. As much as parents try not to interfere in their lives, they always hope, once their children are grown, that they'll make the right choices and things that will go well with them. A bit more history now. After studying fashion design in Newcastle and Northampton, where she'd rented Victorian houses, she returned to Radcliffe with an urge to own one herself, and eventually found one in Bobber's Mill. Since then, she's developed a talent for decorating and doesn't bat an eyelid at any DIY project. So if you've all got DIY work that needs doing, I was going to say Elly is your man, but you know what I mean. As well as DIYing, cooking, gardening, helped by a garden design course at Brackenhurst, and now wedding planning. It's only a pity that apart from cooking, these talents were not particularly evident when she was living at home. Elly is a girl who had a deep interest in animals. As a child, any dead bird, mouse or frog that she found had to have a proper burial in the garden. Those who visited Elly and Jason's home, known to Danuta and I as Colic Zoo, will know that the animal interest has not waned. She started off with cats, one at first, then two, and later a third. And next came the dog that you've all met today, Alfie. I well remember the day, sitting at the table in Malcolm and Ellen's kitchen in Wales. Lunchtime it was, we'd done whatever it was in the morning, having a nice glass of something, not a care in the world, when Elly rang up to tell us that she had to buy a husky because she could not live without this animal. Following a deep and meaningful discussion, I managed to talk her out of it and impress Mal at the same time. In itself, not an easy thing to achieve. Ultimately, she and Jason got Alfie, who is here today mainly in a supervisory role, because of course he is in charge. Lastly, they bought their hens, rescued hens I should say, and an egg loo, which for those of you who don't know, is a plastic house for hens. Did you know that the first egg costed £475? However, I understand that the unit cost is coming down rapidly. And just before I finish with animals, you'll perhaps wonder about the names on the tables. I mean, there's Alfie and Salvador, quite reasonable, but what's that funny one, Elly? Somebody, Ginger Rogers and Gwendolyn and the Lilt ladies and all this sort of nonsense, dare I say. These are the names of the animals and hens and birds and goodness knows what else. Well, we thought you might wonder about it all, but I mean, I thought she's flipped at last, but there you are. Anyway, we come to Jason now, because you've torn Elly to pieces. What can I say about Jason? Well, what can you say about Jason? What you can say about him is he's such a friendly, easygoing guy. He's quite confident, quietly confident, and a pleasure to be with. Great company. Incidentally, I have noticed about Jason, he's a bit of a gadget freak. Sat nav, mobile phone, iPod, Wii, etc., etc., and probably more etceteras as well. If it's small, takes control, and gives out non-stop information 24 hours a day, he's got to have it. Which is probably what attracted him to Elly. Jason, we're delighted to welcome you to the family. We found you to be a kind and considerate man who deserves a good wife. I'm sure you've found one. Now, offering advice at these sort of events is always fraught with danger. However, as a married man, I can confidently offer you two elements of advice. For the bride, Elly, never go to bed angry. Always stay up and argue. And Jason, for you, always remember those 3 magic words that will keep your marriage strong and your wife by your side. You're right, dear. Now, just to digress for a moment, about 20 years ago, some of you will know that Danuta had a job where she was a sales agent selling cookware throughout the length and breadth of the Midlands and Wales, right up to the, not quite the Scottish border, but up to North Lancashire, North Yorkshire. And in her travels, she found a picture that she thought would be an ideal present for Elly. Remember, this was 20 years ago. For a variety of reasons, we haven't given it to her. Mainly because we forgot to have it framed. But anyway, this time, it's positively our last opportunity to present it to her. The picture is a series of cartoons with advice from a father to his daughter. And the main item being, never marry a man who hunts south of the river. We were delighted to discover that she adopted that rule of thumb without any prompting from us. So Elly and Jason, here's your long-belated birthday, Christmas, wedding present. And just before I sit down, because although I promised them 40 minutes, I was telling porkies, I've got a little verse or two, as Emil had earlier. And this one goes like this. May the road rise to meet you. May the wind always be at your back. May the sun shine warm upon your face. The rains fall soft upon your fields. I haven't got any fields yet, but I'm sure they're working that way. And until we meet again, may God hold you in the palm of his hand. May God be with you and bless you. May you see your children's children. May you be poor in misfortune, rich in blessings. May you know nothing but happiness from this day forward. May the road rise up to meet you. May the wind be always at your back. May the warm rays of sun fall upon your home. And may the hand of a friend always be near. May green be the grass you walk on. May blue be the skies above you. May pure be the joys that surround you. And may true be the hearts that love you. And finally, now we're over the emotional stuff, I'd ask you to join me in this toast. Here's to the past, for all you've learned. Here's to the present, for all that you share. Here's to the future, for all your plans together. And here's to love, laughter, and happy ever after. I give you the toast, the bride and groom, Mr. and Mrs. Bowen, Elly and Jason.
You stole some of my thunder, however. But,
I have a punch on for that day.
On behalf of my wife and I, thank you for all coming to our special day. It's humbling to see you all here. I know a lot of you have travelled a long way to be here with us, and we both thank you very much for that. Some friends and family are not able to be here with us today, but I'm sure they're enjoying the day with us in spirit. So, if you could all please stand and raise your glass. To absent friends and family.
Absent friends and family.
I cannot say enough thanks to Ian and Danuta for hosting this fantastic reception. Without them, this would have been a wedding in the Elvis Chapel. The only way I know how to repay them is by loving their daughter and making her as happy as possible.
I can see that you do.
I would also
Did you say see that you do?
I said we can see.
I would also like to thank Ian for allowing me to marry his daughter.
Oh, Elly, my pleasure, as I said.
He did shake my hand rather vigorously. He can rest assured that I promise to love her and take care of her, and I'll put her to work in a suitable fashion. On this day where I'm welcomed by my new family, it seems strange, as I have felt part of it for years. From day one, they all made me feel so welcome. I feel like I've gained a gran, brother and friend, and a whole new extended family. They're all very dear to me. Well, Mum, Dad, I bet you thought you'd never see this day. Well, you've done a grand job and brought up a practically perfect son.
Anyway, didn't you?
A perfect son who would never shoot out the extension window and blame it on the boy next door. I hear he was punished suitably for his crimes. Thanks both of you for being so great. I'll see you both about the window later. I'd like to say now a few words about my stunning new wife and the first time that we met. The first time we met was in a bar in town on a cold winter's night. We'd been chatting on the internet for some weeks, far too long from my point of view. It's high time we met. I'd been in the bar for a while, so I'd consumed several Dutch courages, obviously to stay warm. Then I saw Elly step through the door and look around for me. She looked like a beautiful Eskimo girl in a warm, fluffy coat. She spotted me, waved, and shot a cute smile that still melts my heart today. I didn't know whether to rub noses or kiss her. I'll never forget that moment. As you can see, all went well for my beautiful Eskimo girl who I love so much. I'd like to thank Vicky, the bridesmaid, for doing such a sterling job on the hen weekend and bringing Elly back to me in one piece. What happened in London stays in London. I'm sure you all agree she looks absolutely beautiful in her dress. Yeah. She had great fun choosing it, as did me and Carl from the pub in Spirits up the road. If you could all please stand and raise your glasses. To Vicky the bridesmaid.
Vicky.
Also, many thanks has to go out to Gary, the best man, who did a great job on the stag do drive, and for arranging everybody to drive really slowly and almost letting me win at karting.
Should have got simping.
However, there is one important thing that you need to know about Gary, and that is he's from an alternate universe. So none of the stories I'm about to tell about me are actually about me. So I give you the best man.
Thank you for that. Right, hello ladies and gentlemen. As Jay said, my name's Gary. You'll have to excuse me for being somewhat nervous. It's my first time. And thankfully, the last with Jay and Elly, because I don't do revisits. I'm sure you'll all agree, it's been a lovely service today. So much so, even the cake's in tears.
I'll set the tone.
The jokes don't get any better. You'll have to provide your own tumbleweed for that. Now, I've known Jay for over 12 years, and I was somewhat surprised when he asked me to be the best man. Didn't help in the way he asked me. So then, you're going to be my best man? I was like, a bit surprised to say the least. It took me a few seconds to realise what was being asked. Stunned was my first reaction, a bit like Jay when it's his round. When you tell people you're going to be best man, all the stories start. One of my favourite stories recently was about the groom's mother applying the best man with drink to the point where Come the speech, he couldn't even stand. Thankfully, it's not happened today, but I'm open to offers afterwards. I didn't have the pleasure of knowing Jay through school and college years, so I couldn't possibly comment on those. But I've heard the stories from his youth. Instead, I'll tell you about how I first knew Jay and how life's changed since he met Elly. A vivid image of going round to Jay's the first few times was going into the fridge, opening it up, and all I could see is mouldy old potato sat at the back. All on its own. That squid was there for some time, I've got to say. It was a health and safety issue, but it got through his independent living quite well. His early home improvements included the addition of a daylight bulb. For those who don't know, this is a seriously bright bulb. It lit half the street and provided alternative sunlight for the man who could sit all day and all night on the computer. My God, it was bright. And then the other thing was going into the house, climbing over the pile of washing, finding an athletic entry and exit to the house. While we're talking about fitness, for a few years Jay was seriously training kickboxing, gaining a black belt along the way. Pity no one told him just to hold his trousers up. He even entered a couple of fights and had the pleasure of being his cornerman at one of them, and he didn't do too badly at all. Quite enjoyed going to that. Thankfully this knowledge has never been used in anger, though we've been close to it on a few nights out. One that comes to mind is we were in town one night queuing up for the taxi. Along come a bunch of lads, straight past us, jumped in the taxi. Next thing I know, they're mouthing off. Jay's at one side. Next thing walks up, kicks the door. Nice sounding thunk on the guys as he got into the taxi. We're always brought up with manners in mind. A huge jump on just isn't polite. As Jay and myself are of similar temperament, when these sort of situations have arisen, we've watched out for each other and calmed each other down before it got out of hand. Now we're older and wiser, I'd like to think. Over the years, I found Jay can get a bit obsessed with the things he does. A few things that come to mind are gaming for hours and hours and hours just to complete a level, or to beat that gamer that's equally obsessed with the other side of the world. Yeah. Other recent obsessions have been rum, mainly Myers and Sailor Jerry's, doubles all round. One of the other ones is eating bread. Might seem obsessive, but a few slices to another person. No, it's a whole loaf to Jay. And then the complaints about the stomachache afterwards. To be fair, I think some of these things started after he worked in the States. Everything's bigger there, including Jay when he comes back. I'm sure you've noticed Jay's main obsession recently has been Elly. But don't worry, Elly. Don't worry, Elly, it's a healthy obsession. And he's not been classed as a stalker for some time now. When he started dating Elly, it was all a bit hush-hush to start for us. He took his time before introducing her to us. Wise move, I think. In the early days, the two of them could easily clear a bottle or two of wine. And by the third, Jay was helping himself to clear it off. Some nights I wondered how he made it home. Thank goodness for taxi drivers. Since Jay met Elly, he's a changed man. Long gone on the pink carpets and green sofa. In came the clean lines of contemporary living. Also, the fridge had a new lease of life. It's actually being used to store food. One of the biggest changes to the bachelor pad is the addition of animals, as I mentioned already. 3 cats, 4 chickens and a dog, to be precise. Never really took Jay to be a dog person, but Alfred Dashington III, or Alfie, surely changed life as he knew it. Watching them together, it's like one man and his dog. They've both been dog trainers, and Alfie now has Jay well trained. pretty sure if Jay could, he'd take Alfie everywhere with him. He even came on holiday to France with us last year and was the sole witness to Jay's proposal to Elly. If nothing else, Alfie has given plenty of practice to Jay for looking after small things that move around of their own volition. Useful for me, as now I have a competent babysitter. Fortunately, my daughter's been very good for them. Unfortunately, I think it's given them a false sense of what babies can really be like. But I've always liked one of the comments Jay said about babies. It's when they're crawling around, it's like a mini adventure. Hopefully, who knows, in the next few years, we may hear the little patter of little pulling feet, and they'll have their own little adventures. I'm sure I'll agree that Jay and Elly make a wonderful couple, and wherever life takes them, we wish them all the best. And finally, I'd like to say that marriage is not about finding someone you can live with, it's about finding someone you can't live without. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for not falling asleep. May I ask you to raise your glasses and stand to the new Mr. and Mrs. Cullen. To Jay and Elly. Jay and Elly. And also add that there'll be tea and coffees downstairs, and also there's a poster for everyone to sign as a memoir for them. Thank you.
Can we cut the cake and video?
Oh, yeah.
If you don't, you will be late. Yeah. Do you go down Tripbridge as well? I think you've got the cherry burst.
That as well, yeah.
So, where are you going to go?
James! Don't think that was just...
When I used to
How do you want us?
It's a nice day. Well, my Christmas present.
Not so good for me.
Strauss.
I think I've got it.
You think you got it?
I think so. Yeah. I press.
What to get where you are a star.
Fever in the morning, fever all tonight. Everybody's got the fever. That is something we all know. Fever isn't such a thing. Fever started long ago. Juliet, she fell asleep. When he put his arms around, he said, Julie, baby, you're now give us the fever. When we kiss her, the fever will be flaming in. Fever, I'm fire, fever, and I'm burn for sure.
It does exist.
Chicks are going to give me fever. They get Fahrenheit or centigrade. With their kisses, fever if you'll ever run. Fever.
Put it on the moves.
What a lucky way to burn. What a lucky way to burn. Oh, what a lucky way to burn. What a lucky way to burn. Thank you. Thank you. Don't sit down, please. Dance all night. That's what I want. Don't be shy. If I see anybody got the door, but very nice.